Hey everyone, Cherie here. Today I'm going to be putting together a traveller's notebook spread featuring some pretty things from Felicity Jane, a variety of kits from Felicity Jane. So I am scrapping this photo here. This is about a watermelon peperomia plant that I recently purchased, and I've been looking for one of these for a few years. So I was very excited this day when I finally found one to add to my collection. So that's what I'm scrapping about. What I decided to do was make this a real monochrome sort of look to this page. So I just wanted greens with black and white. So I went through my stash and came up with these things. So from the Millie kit from February, I've got the Millie stamp set, one of the papers from the kit with this fun chevron pattern. It's nice and subtle for the background, and that's already cut to the size of a traveller's notebook spread page. I've also got the Essentials label stickers here, the number 3 that also came out last month. I've got the die cuts here and one of the felt shapes as well. So that's all from last month's Millie kit. I've also got some things from the Crystal kit. So I've got the stamp set here. I've got these beautiful charms, which also has this green gingham, the same as these pieces up here. One of the cute little Polaroid chipboard frames from the Chipboard Bits. I've got a journaling card that has this beautiful green gingham and a matching branding strip that was on the bottom of the Florals and Spots paper from that kit. And this little green scalloped piece was cut from the paper packaging strips. So I always do like to use the packaging whenever I can. I've got 2 other little pieces over here. This one is a designer tab, a cardstock designer tab from the Grace kit. And this last little piece here is from the Gabby kit from the Chipboard Bits pack. And as you can see, that's perfect for my spread today. I've got some twine here from my stash. The second page for my Traveller's Notebook spread will just be plain white cardstock. I love using the Felicity Jane Essentials white cardstock. It's a beautiful, smooth white cardstock. And I do already have some journaling printed out as well. I typed it up in Photoshop, printed it out onto normal printer paper, then I stuck a piece of Felicity Jane white cardstock over the top, ran it through again, and now that's ready to cut out and use on my spread. So that's where I'm at so far. So I'm ready to make a start. I'll pop you on fast forward and show you how I'm going to put this one together today. To start off with, I'm going to do a little bit of stamping, and I'm using the Millie stamp set here. I've got that scripty love word. I'm just going to stamp that a couple of times so I get the best image here. I did smudge the first one a little bit, and just cleaning my stamp off with my chamois. Then I'm going to swap over to this phrase here that says happy heart. So just pop that onto my block, ink that one up, and stamping that one down as well. And I'm going to fussy cut these out to use on my page. So the love word is going to be my title, and the happy heart will be an embellishment near my photo. So they're cut out, ready to use. Now I'm going to grab my sewing machine and add some stitching to both of my background pages here. And I'm now going to add my little branding strip, that green gingham branding strip, across the bottom of each page. So I've just added some double-sided tape there, and then I can place that across the bottom. I'll just cut off the excess and then do the same with that second page. Really love this green gingham. I wish I had more of it. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my journaling. I'm going to add that to the center of my journaling card there. And then I'm going to grab my sewing machine and add stitching to the journaling card, and also across both of those green gingham strips across the bottom of the pages. So that's done, and now I can start positioning things onto my pages. I've got the journaling going onto the white background and the photo onto that chevron background. I've got my love word that's going to go at the top of the journaling there, and I'm also going to cut that tab in half just so that I can keep the other half for another project, just rounding the top edges there, those top corners. And I'm going to use my slot punch to punch a hole in this tab. I know usually we use these tabs to add words, but this one I'm going to use so that it looks like it's hanging my photo from the top of the page. So I've just adhered it to the top of my photo there. I'm just going to add a bit of stitching to that with my sewing machine. So just one row of stitching. Just go forwards and backwards at the beginning and the end so that my stitches don't come undone. Okay, so I'll just trim those threads off, and then I'll be able to add some twine from my stash to that hole. So I'll just reach for that now. I do already have a piece cut, so just threading that through and looping it on itself. Okay, so that is now ready to go on that page, and I do have that scallop strip that I'm going to add under that bottom edge of the photo. So just using my tape runner on the back of that one, I want to try and line both the journaling card and the photo up together so that they're at the same level on each page. Just add that scalloped piece at the bottom edge of the photo, and it was just a fraction wide, so I've just trimmed off a really small little piece there just so that it fits nicely under the photo. Okay, so now looking at what I want to do next. Now I decided that the background on the first page needed a little bit extra something. So what I'm going to do is ink up my stamp, and I'm going to stamp this word right where the title is going to go. Just keep going up the page so that it fades out as it goes up there. So I love that look. It's been quite a while since I've done this technique, so it was kind of fun to revisit it. So now I can go ahead and add my journaling card back on there, and my cutout word is going to go right over the top of where I stamped that underneath. So I'm using foam squares, and I'm also adding some liquid glue because my foam squares don't seem to be sticking very well these days. So I'm just adding a little bit of extra liquid adhesive there to get that nicely secured into place. So I'm really happy with how that looks. I think it's a little bit of fun, something a bit different. So now I'm going to work on a little embellishment cluster over on the bottom right of my photo. I've got that square little Polaroid chipboard piece, and on top of that I'm going to layer some other pieces. So this is where I'm going to use that happy heart stamped piece. I'm just adding some foam tape to one end because it will be overlapping onto that chipboard piece. So I've got a little bit of foam adhesive and a little bit of double-sided tape. And now I'm going to look at what else I'm going to add to this little cluster. Just sticking that one down. Need a bit more tape runner on the back there. Okay, so I really want to use that little chipboard potted plant, super cute. And then I've got that charm as well. And I love that it's adding a little bit more of that green gingham to this page. So just adhering those ones down. Now I did mean to add a bit of twine to the top of that charm and tie it into a bow, but I did forget to do that while filming, and I noticed it once I'd finished. So you'll see at the photos at the end of the video that I do add a little twine bow to the top of that charm, and you see I also stapled the twine to the top of the page there. Okay, so moving back to the first page, I'm adding this XOXOXO die cut piece to the bottom of my journaling. Again, just adding a little bit of liquid adhesive to the back of my foam squares. And I did want to use that felt heart. Now you'll see here I do staple it on. I thought I'd use staples because I'd already used staples on the other page. And then I decided it needed a little bit of something extra. So I toyed around with the idea of this label from the Essentials label stickers. And then I decided I'm going to take the heart off, so I just undo the staple, and I'm going to add that label underneath. It just gives a little bit more black to that bottom of the page. I think it helps to balance out this spread nicely. So just making sure that's nice and centered, and then I can go ahead and staple that heart back onto the page. Alright, so I was happy with that, and then I thought I needed something at the bottom of the second page. So I've grabbed this stamp from the Crystal Stamp Set. It says, "This made me smile today." I noticed that the dot on the exclamation mark didn't quite show up, so I do grab a pen shortly and just fill that in. You'll see me do that now, I think. Yep. And then I thought, what else can I add here? So I noticed in the Millie stamp set there's a tiny heart stamp, so I do grab that, and I thought I'm going to put one of those at the beginning and the end of that phrase. And you'll see what happens. I just don't line it up. I didn't take enough time to line the two hearts up, so they end up a little bit wonky and not level, which I wasn't happy with. So you'll see in a moment, I realise that they're not even, and so I decided to use my MISTI, which is what I should have done in the first place, and I'm going to stamp it onto some plain cardstock, cut it out, and then I'll be able to adhere it in place, which I'm quite happy to do because it does add another layer to the page. So I quite often will stamp things up and stick them onto a page and just stitch across them just to add more layering and texture. So this is where I can perfectly line up that second heart. I'm going to ink it up, and I'm much happier with how this one turns out. So I can go ahead, cut that one out, and add that straight over the top of where I previously stamped. Okay, so I think that's just what this needed. And I do grab my sewing machine shortly and stitch across that one, and I do end up off camera, I take that felt heart off again and stitch across that label as well, which you can now see as I give you a closer look at all the details. So there's a stamping at the top, there's that stitching across the label at the bottom. And you can see the tab at the top there, stapled to the top of the page. There's that little embellishment cluster and that stamped piece at the bottom. And I've now added it into my Felicity Jane Scalloped Traveller's Notebook. Really love that. And I'm going to show you some close-up photos at the end here. So please let me know if you've got any questions about this one. I will leave a link to Felicity Jane down below for you, and I look forward to bringing you another project very soon. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.